She sacrificed meals for 10 life-changing books. Millionaire CEO's incredible decision revealed. Emma's hands trembled as she stared at the pile of bills that seemed to multiply faster than her stubborn hope. Each envelope was a silent reminder of her struggle, a single mother of two, working long hours in a diner and cleaning homes just to keep the lights on in their small rented house in Greenville, Ohio. With every dawn she kissed her two children, Tyler and Lucy, goodbye, sending them off with lunchboxes packed with love and little else. Their laughter echoed in her heart, a shining light amidst the growing shadows of worry. Then the idea struck like lightning. What if she could rise above this? What if she could create something beautiful for them? Like a cozy coffee shop that welcomed everyone in town. It would be a place for warmth and connection, a safe haven for tired souls. But to turn that dream into reality, she needed knowledge she didn't have. And that's when she made the heart-wrenching decision to forego meals for a month to save every penny. 10 transformative business books were waiting for her, promised keys to unlock a better future. Days turned into weeks, and Emma dove headfirst into those books. She consumed words of wisdom, envisioning her coffee shop filled with laughter, conversations, and the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee. As she shared her dream with a few neighbors, she hoped for encouragement, but her heart sank. Whispers and sideways glances told her a different story. Some saw only her background, the struggles that painted her world. Friends became shadows, and the laughter of her children now felt bittersweet amidst harsh judgment. "Why would you, Emma?" one whispered, disdain palpable, while another shot her a look that stung like ice. Each piercing word hurt more than the last, and self-doubt clawed at her insides. Was she deluded? Was it foolish to dream? But deep down, she clung to the memories of her children's innocent laughter, a tether holding her to hope, and when it seemed she might drown in despair, the unexpected came crashing like a wave. Vanessa Thornton, a millionaire CEO known for her inspiring entrepreneurial spirit, stepped into Emma's life. She saw Emma's raw ambition and offered an investment that glimmered with possibility. But there were strings that tugged at the very essence of Emma's values about community and belonging. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Standing on the brink of what could surely be a life-altering decision, Emma found herself at a crossroads. Could she accept help that might elevate her above her community or redefine her dream into something alienating? The grand opening of the coffee shop loomed closer, and anticipation mixed with trepidation. Friends turned to critics, and what should be a celebration felt like a scrutiny awaiting the moment she revealed her secret. Just as she prepared to step into the spotlight, a revelation about Vanessa's past rocked her world, forcing Emma to confront her true understanding of success and communal strength. Would she hold true to her vision of connection and community? Or would she risk walking a path lined with glitter, but devoid of the very love she wished to cultivate? Emma couldn't shake the unease that settled in her chest like a heavy stone. She paced her small kitchen, the faint sound of her children playing outside a sweet reminder of the life she was fighting for. As she gazed out the window, thoughts collided. How could she take what Vanessa offered and still stay true to her vision? Could she really transform her community without losing its heart? Vanessa's proposal echoed in her mind. An investment would mean finances for renovations, cozy furniture, and even that fancy coffee machine she daydreamed about. But it also meant adhering to expectations that could warp the very essence of her dream. The coffee shop needed to be a reflection of her, the warmth of home, a gathering place, a second family for the lonely. Shivering against the crisp morning air, Emma shook her head. She refused to let fear dictate her choices. With a deep breath, she sat down to write. Words poured from her heart as she detailed her vision for the coffee shop: a name, a mission statement, a plan filled with purpose. She imagined art from local artists on the walls, and a weekly open mic night that could bring neighbors together. The more she wrote, the more clarity she found. But doubts began to creep in again. What if it failed? What if she let her kids down? The grim faces of her neighbors returning from work played in her mind like a film on repeat. They would still see her as the single mom from the diner, wouldn't they? Would her children still be proud of her if she stumbled? Emma looked over at Tyler and Lucy, their laughter ringing through the air like music. It fueled a fire in her heart. Would they want her to play small just because it was safe? No. They deserved to see their mother rise up, to see the strength of resilience before their eyes. Gathering her resolve, Emma decided to confront Vanessa. She had to know her motivations. Could they align? What was the true cost of her assistance? As the sun dipped low in the sky, painting the horizon orange, she felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she could mold this partnership into something beautiful. The next morning, the shop's future already ignited within her thoughts. Emma gathered her courage. She headed to Vanessa's office, heart pounding. The sleek building felt intimidating, yet a spark of excitement surged through her. This was her moment to take charge. Vanessa, Emma began, shaking slightly as she took a seat across from the polished desk. I have some questions. She took a deep breath, determined. What's your vision for my coffee shop? I need to know if we are on the same page. Vanessa's expression shifted. A hint of surprise flashed in her eyes. My vision, she repeated, leaning forward as if suddenly intrigued. I want to see you succeed, but I also know there are risks involved. It's a competitive world, and Emma cut her off gently. But what does success look like to you? Is it different than what I dream of? For the first time, she saw a flicker of hesitation in Vanessa's eyes. As they delved deeper into the conversation, barriers began to dissolve between them. With each answer Vanessa gave, more questions surfaced in Emma's mind. Vanessa's journey mirrored not just ambition but challenges too, and they could pave a path to mutual understanding. All of a sudden, the atmosphere in the room shifted. They were no longer just a businesswoman and an aspiring entrepreneur. They were two women forging a path toward community, connection, and maybe even friendship. But as trust began to build, a knock at the door shattered the moment. An unexpected visitor stood there, face pale but determined. The look in their eyes spoke volumes. Everything was about to change. Emma, I need your help. The voice trembled, barely above a whisper, as the weight of concern filled the room. What had she unknowingly walked into? Emma's heart raced, the words hanging in the air like a heavy fog. The figure at the door was familiar yet heedful. Someone she knew well from the neighborhood, the frail face of Alice, an elderly widow who kept to herself and rarely ventured out. Alice? Emma's voice was a mix of surprise and concern. What's going on? There's been an accident, Alice stammered, her hands clutching the doorframe for support. It's about Jacob. Jacob was Alice's grandson, a vibrant young man who adored the local coffee shop scene and often came in to share stories with Emma. The thought of anything happening to him sent a shiver down her spine. What happened? Emma urged, her instinct to help kicking in. He was in a car accident. They say he's in bad shape. They took him to the hospital. Alice's voice cracked and tears brimmed in her eyes. I don't know what to do. I just need someone to be there. Emma felt her throat tighten. The weight of the situation crashed over her. She had been so caught up in her dreams, her plans for the coffee shop. But here was someone who needed her support right now. Without thinking, she reached out and took Alice's hands, the warmth of her touch both comforting and grounding. I'll go, Emma promised, her heart swelling with purpose. I'll be with you. Let us go find him. They rushed to the hospital, Alice leaning heavily on Emma, her frail frame shaking with sobs. The urgency of their journey filled the air, blending dread with determination. As they entered the bustling hospital, bright fluorescent lights stung Emma's eyes, her nerves fraying with each step. She and Alice needed answers, needed to see Jacob. Once inside the waiting room, the tension was palpable. Emma watched as nurses moved swiftly, doctors spoke in hushed tones, and families embraced anxiously. Each minute felt like an hour. Do you think he'll be okay? Alice's voice trembled, vulnerable in a way Emma had never witnessed before. I believe he will, she assured Alice, even though doubt flickered in the back of her mind. What if he wasn't he? What if this shattered the delicate fabric of their community? Just then a doctor emerged, his expression grave. Emma felt her breath hitch. Are you family? He asked, eyes scanning them thoughtfully. Yes, I'm his grandmother, Alice replied. Her voice was small, weighted by fear. We did everything we could. The doctor paused, and Emma could see her heart shatter all over again. He's stable for now, but he's in a lot of pain. I recommend you go in, but be prepared for the situation. It's tough. With that, he stepped aside to allow them to pass. Emma felt the tightness in her chest. This was the hardest part. Walking into uncertainty, the unknown. But her own vision of success didn't matter compared to being there for Alice and Jacob. They moved into the dimly lit room. Jacob lay on the bed, bandaged and asleep, the faint sound of machines beeping softly around him. Emma felt a lump in her throat. How could dreams matter in the face of such fragility? As Alice knelt by his side, the soft sobs turning to whispered prayers, Emma stepped back. In that moment she felt both small and profound. She wasn't just an aspiring business owner. She was part of something bigger, a community woven together by love and support. And then it hit Emma like a wave. Was this a sign? Could she merge her passion for the coffee shop with a new sense of purpose grounded in her community? She caught Alice's gaze across the room, and a deeper understanding bloomed within her. There was hope in grief, strength in vulnerability, and a chance for something transformative. Maybe the coffee shop could be more than just a business. It could be a refuge for stories, healing, and hope. But that wouldn't be easy, and as she pondered that weighty question, another thought emerged. What would it take to rebuild her own dreams alongside the needs of others? As the sun began to set outside the hospital, casting shadows in the room, the answer felt like a storm waiting to break. Emma knew that her journey in this community had only just begun, and with it would come challenges beyond what she'd ever imagined. Would she have the courage to face them? And what about Jacob? What lay ahead for him and for the dream she held in her heart? The room felt heavy with unspoken fears, the rhythmic beeping of machines the only sound filling the silence. Emma's stomach twisted as she watched Alice bend over Jacob, her frail body trembling with each whispered prayer. What was it like to hold so much love, so much worry in one fragile heart? Alice's voice broke through her thoughts. What if he doesn't wake up? The question hung in the air, sharp and piercing. Emma stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on Alice's shoulder. Yes, strong Alice. He'll pull through. I believe that. It was hard to convince herself, yet she felt the need to be the pillar for the woman beside her. As minutes turned to hours, the reality of the situation sank deeper into Emma's bones. She could feel the weight pressing down on her shoulders, but there was a flicker of hope in her heart, a stubborn little flame refusing to be snuffed out. Just then, the door swung open again. A nurse entered, her face warm yet professional. Would you like to speak with the doctor? He can answer any further questions you may have. Alice nodded, wiping her tears with a crumpled tissue, and Emma followed them both into the hall. Here the fluorescent lights felt harsher, the air thicker with uncertainty. Is there any chance he could come out of this? Alice asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. The nurse hesitated, then spoke softly. It's too early to tell. His vital signs are stable, but he remains in a lot of pain. Alice's breath hitched, and Emma felt a fire ignite within her, a longing to do more. What can we do? She pleaded, her heart racing. Well, the nurse paused, considering. Being here is so important. Just your presence means the world to him. That gave Emma an idea. Alice, what if we set up a way for other people to send their thoughts and prayers to Jacob? Something that can grow with him? Alice looked up, her brow furrowed. What do you mean? They could send messages like a community bulletin board. At the coffee shop, I could provide a space with cards for people to write their well wishes. Emma's heart raced at her own idea. It could help him feel that he's not alone, that everyone is rooting for him. Alice's eyes lit up, a glimmer of hope breaking through her sadness. You really think it could help? I know it could, Emma replied, conviction strengthening her voice. The two women stood in silence for a moment, each envisioning a connection that stretched beyond the walls of the hospital. It wouldn't just be words, it would be a lifeline, a reminder that love transcends pain. As they returned to Jacob's room, Emma felt energized. The weight of her dreams for the coffee shop began to feel lighter, more meaningful. Perhaps in building a space for others to share in Jacob's journey, she would also find a way to build the kind of community she had always wanted. Just then Jacob stirred in his bed. A faint flutter of eyelashes, a hopeful sign. Both women rushed to his side, their breaths caught in their throats. "Jacob?" Emma whispered, holding her breath as if the world might shatter if they dared to hope too loudly. His eyes fluttered open, and for a fleeting moment, she thought she saw recognition. But as quickly as it appeared, his gaze seemed to drift again, and panic surged within her. Would he have the strength to fight through this? The door creaked open again, and a figure emerged, the doctor. He glanced at Emma and Alice, but his gaze was focused on Jacob. "Is he awake?" the doctor asked, stepping closer with cautious hope. Emma's heart began to race once more, realizing that every second could hold the key to a shift in Jacob's journey. Would this moment be the beginning of his awakening? Or could it lead to a new challenge that would require even more strength from Emma and everyone who cared for him? Jacob's eyes blinked slowly, struggling against the weight of sleep. Emma felt a surge of relief mixed with anxiety. The doctor leaned in, his brow furrowed, scanning Jacob's face for signs of awareness. "Jacob?" the doctor said, his voice steady yet gentle. "Can you hear me?" For a moment silence filled the room, broken only by the faint sounds of machines. Then Jacob shifted slightly, almost imperceptibly, and Emma's heart leapt. "Can you squeeze my hand?" the doctor continued, reaching for Jacob's limp fingers. Emma leaned closer, practically holding her breath. She needed him to respond, to show that spark of life. With great effort, Jacob's fingers curled around the doctor's hand. A weak but definite action. Emma's eyes went wide, her heart pounding louder than ever. Alice gasped beside her, bringing a hand to her mouth as tears threatened to spill over again. Good. That's it, Jacob," the doctor encouraged, peering closely. "I need you to focus on my voice." Emma could feel a warmth spreading through her chest, a flicker of hope kindling within her. Would this be the turning point? Would Jacob wake up fully and give them the chance they desperately longed for? After what felt like an eternity, Jacob's eyelids fluttered again, his gaze fixing uncertainly on the ceiling above. The doctor's voice cut through the haze of the room. "Jacob, can you tell us your name?" There was no immediate response. Panic crept back in, but Emma forced it down. "You can do this, Jacob," she whispered softly, not wanting to disturb the delicate moment they shared. The doctor pressed again. "Just a little more. Can you say your name?" But instead, Jacob's breathing hitched, his eyes squinting in confusion. Emma's stomach dropped. What if he couldn't remember? What if all this time, this fight, didn't lead to the outcome they were hoping for? "Don't give up on him," Alice murmured, her voice trembling, yet a spark of determination flickering between her words. "He's fighting." The doctor remained focused. "That's right, Jacob. We're all here for you. Can you try to say something?" For a moment it seemed as though Jacob was silently grappling with his own mind, wrestling against the void that had captured him. Then with a strained effort he let out a rough whisper. "Emma?" She rushed forward, clinging to those words like a lifeline. "I'm right here, Jacob. I'm right here." The realization that he remembered her sent shivers of joy down her spine. Maybe they could break through the darkness yet. "Can you tell me how you feel?" The doctor pressed gently, his warm tone urging hope into the air. Jacob stared hard at the doctor, and for a moment it seemed as if he were searching for words buried deep inside. Tired, he finally managed, but the words sounded like a monument of strength against his condition. "Of course you are," the doctor acknowledged, his expression softening. "You've been through so much. Just keep resting. We're here." Alice wiped her eyes, adrenaline of relief washing over her. "He's fighting," she whispered, almost to herself, as if reaffirming the truth as Jacob's eyelids began to droop once more. Emma squeezed his hand tightly, wanting him to feel the warmth radiating from her heart. But just as she felt a moment of hope, uncertainty crept back in. Was that the best they would get? Would he fade back into the haze of unconsciousness, leaving them hanging on the edge of fate yet again? Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. They needed to rally their strength and support one another in ways they hadn't even begun to imagine. "What if we started that board?" Emma suddenly declared. "The messages for Jacob? It could be our way of pulling everyone together, of fighting alongside him." Alice's eyes brightened again, a flush of determination returning. "Yes, let us create something beautiful for him. We'll bring everyone together." Emma smiled, a sense of purpose filling her veins. Yes, they would build a community around Jacob. one that would reflect how loved he was. As they turned back to Jacob, Emma's heart swelled with renewed energy. They would stand united, no matter how daunting the situation felt, and push forward. But even as determination enveloped her, questions lingered in the back of her mind. Was everyone really prepared for what this journey would demand? And what unseen battles lay ahead? As if answering her unspoken worries, a sharp sound echoed from the corridor, a commotion outside that pulled their attention. Emma's heart raced again, wondering what news would spill into their lives next. What awaited them beyond the walls of this room? The door to Jacob's room swung open with a sudden crash, sending a jolt through the entire atmosphere. Emma's heart sank. It was a nurse, her face etched with urgency. "We need to move him for scans," she announced, her tone brisk but not unkind. "He is stable, but we can't take any chances." Emma felt her stomach clench, a mix of anxiety and the flicker of hope feeding off each other. "Wait," she exclaimed, panic creeping into her voice. "Is he going to be okay? Will he understand?" The nurse paused, offering Emma a reassuring nod. "He'll be well taken care of. Just take a deep breath, all right? You can walk with him if you want." Alice clutched Emma's arm tightly. The dust of uncertainty scattered in the air again, but Emma took a step forward, instincts driving her to stay close to Jacob. As they guided him on the stretcher, she held his hand, feeling the warmth of his skin beneath her fingers. It was solid, real. He was still there, and she wouldn't let him go. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead as they wound through the narrow corridors. Emma glanced at the walls lined with comforting artwork, a stark contrast to the stark reality unfolding within her. Each beat of her heart aligned with Jacob's shallow breaths. Would he be scared? Alone? "Stay with me, Jacob," she whispered, her voice firm but tender. "I'm right here." For a moment he turned towards her, his eyes searching her face. His voice was thin but powerful, pulling Emma into the moment with a bittersweet strength. "Exactly. I'm right here," she assured him, feeling a surge of determination. She wanted him to grasp the focal point of their connection. "You're not alone." They reached the scanning room, the hustle of the medical staff swirling around them like a chaotic ballet. Jacob was carefully placed on the table, and as they positioned him for the scan, Emma strained to keep his gaze locked on hers. "What if I told you how much everyone loves you?" she continued, sensing the urgency within her words. "Alice and I, your family, friends, everyone is waiting for you. You can fight through this. We all believe in you." He blinked slowly but didn't respond. The fear returned, gnawing at her thoughts. What if her words couldn't pierce the veil of his mind? The technician moved in with cool professionalism, readying the machine. "Okay, Jacob, we're going to take some pictures of your brain. It won't take long. Just breathe," the technician instructed soothingly. Emma stayed at his side, whispering little reminders of their shared moments, the muddy hikes, laughing over coffee, and evenings spent under the stars. She needed him to feel the weight of their memories, that the world beyond this sterile room was still vibrant and waiting for him. "Jacob, remember our trip to the lake? You made the best s'mores. The way you burned the marshmallow." Emma's voice trembled a little, but she pressed on. "We can't wait to make more together." He blinked again, and for a fleeting moment, the corner of Jacob's mouth twitched, a ghost of the smile she had missed so fiercely. Then came the click of the machine. It filled the air like static. The tension in the room thickened, weaving an invisibility of hope and despair as the scan began. Emma's chest tightened. "You're brave. Remember that. You're my warrior," she said, sensing that the battle was as much his as it was theirs. Minutes seemed to stretch endlessly, each second punctuated by the whir of equipment. The vulnerability of the moment painted reality in stark colors: fear, hope, love, all intertwined. With each noise, Emma's heart raced. But she would not look away. She wouldn't let doubt creep in. Finally, the scan completed, and the technician rolled away the machine. Emma inhaled deeply, the relief momentary but not complete. Would this small victory lead to a glimmer of progress, or would another day pass with silence? As they wheeled Jacob back toward the room, Emma caught sight of a new figure in the hallway, a familiar face from the past, looking anxious. The arrival felt charged with promise, but also potential chaos. What news would this new person bring? And how would it change everything they thought they knew? Emma's heart raced as the figure approached, the dim hospital lights casting shadows that made the face more an enigma than a friend. It was Tom, someone she hadn't seen in years. Memories of shared laughter and long conversations flooded back, but they felt almost misplaced. Here, everything was heavy with fear and uncertainty. "Emma," Tom said, his voice barely above a whisper. He moved closer, his eyes darting to Jacob on the stretcher, waiting for his moment to return to his room. There was a pulse of recognition, yet a distance that seemed miles apart from the past they shared. Emma felt a pang of nostalgia mixed with the gravity of the moment. "Tom, I didn't expect to see you here," she stammered, unsure of how to bridge the gap that had widened since they last met. "I got a call from your mom. She thought you might need me. How is Jacob?" His gaze remained fixed on Jacob, concern etching lines on his forehead. "I don't know," Emma admitted, her voice shaky. "He just went for a scan. I'm trying to stay hopeful, but it's hard." Tom nodded, but the worry in his eyes told her he understood the depth of that struggle. He stepped closer to the stretcher, his expression softening as he took in Jacob's still form, a stark reminder of the fragility of life. "I'm here for you, Em. Whatever you need," he said, laying a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Thank you," she replied, catching a hint of strength from him she desperately needed. But underneath her gratitude, she couldn't shake the feeling that Tom's presence invoked a past that might complicate her present. They wheeled Jacob into his room, the bustling noise of the hospital fading into an almost surreal silence as Emma followed close behind, Tom at her side. Jacob lay back on the bed, his face peaceful despite everything that had happened. A flurry of new medical personnel swarmed in, all business. Emma felt a twinge of overwhelm as they began their hurried conversations about vitals and results. "Let us step out for a moment," Tom suggested gently, sensing her anxiety. Emma hesitated, wanting to remain close to Jacob, but a part of her knew she needed a second, just a breath. They stepped into the hallway, lights glaring without the comfort of familiarity. "What's going on, Em?" Tom asked, his brow creased with concern. "You look exhausted. This must be weighing on you." "It is," she admitted, blinking back tears. "I'm scared. I don't know what's happening to him. He doesn't deserve this." Tom nodded, and for a moment they stood in silence. His presence was a comfort she didn't realize she needed until that moment. "You're so strong, Emma," he finally said, his voice low. "I remember how you fought for everything you cared about. You'll fight for Jacob too." "I hope it's enough," she whispered, the weight of uncertainty pressing against her chest as they spoke. A shadow moved near the door to Jacob's room. Emma's breath caught as she recognized another face, a family member she hadn't anticipated. The news they brought wrapped in both hope and worry, swirling uncertainty once again into the mix. "Emma, you need to see this," they said, urgency in their tone. Her heart raced and she felt a rush of fear. What did they want to say? What was unfolding now would require her to stand firm, to grasp onto whatever remains of hope remained for Jacob. The calm she yearned for darted away as she turned back toward the door, every step filled with anxiety and a desperate longing for answers. What awaited them within could change everything. Would it be the news she'd been fearing? Or was there a glimmer of hope on the horizon? Emma braced herself, ready for whatever awaited her on the other side. As Emma stepped through the door, the buzzing of the hospital seemed to fade into the background. Her eyes immediately sought Jacob, his color a little less gray than before, but the machines surrounding him were relentless and loud, beeping in a rhythm that echoed her own anxious heart. Emma, the family member who had approached moments ago, stepped inside behind her, their face a mixture of concern and resolve. "We got some news from the doctor. You need to know." Emma's stomach twisted. What does that mean? The fear in her voice was evident, thick enough to cut through the sterile air. "It's about his test results," they said, taking a deep breath. "There's evidence of some progress." But their voice cracked slightly, as if the word but carried the weight of 1,000 disappointments. "It might not be enough." "Not enough? What do you mean? Can he get better?" she pressed, feeling the walls close in around her. A flicker of hope was igniting, but she feared it would burn out just as quickly. "They're looking at a tougher treatment plan. It's aggressive," the family member continued, their eyes darting to Jacob. "We all need to be ready for the ups and downs." Emma felt her legs tremble beneath her. "How can I prepare for this? I don't even know what that means for him." The thought of Jacob going through any more pain sent fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. Tom stepped forward, his presence an anchor. You'll take it one day at a time, Emma. You won't have to do this alone. He squeezed her hand, sending a wave of warmth through her in the midst of the cold uncertainty. Right. One day at a time, she echoed, but the words felt hollow as they left her lips. Panic began to churn in her belly again. What if he can't handle it? What if it only makes things worse? The thought coiled tightly in her mind, a snake of impending doom with a steadiness she didn't quite feel. The family member replied, "That's the reality of it. We have to fight for him. He needs our strength even when we feel like we're breaking." Emma's tears fell harder, but she felt the warmth of Tom's hand tightening its grip. They were all fighting in their own way, and she realized that she had to, too. Although a part of her felt crushed, she wanted to believe. "I can't give up on him. He means everything to me." The confession slipped out, a raw truth laid bare. "You won't have to," Tom assured her softly. "Let us be there for him together." She looked back at Jacob, his face unmarred by dread, instead peaceful amidst the chaos surrounding him. The contrast sparked something deep inside her. "Okay," she whispered. "Together." But just as she felt the first stirrings of renewed hope, the doctor entered the room. His expression was serious, and every heartbeat echoed inside her as he approached. Emma braced herself, knowing that whatever news was about to come would be pivotal. "Emma, we need to discuss the next steps in Jacob's care. There are options available, but they come with significant risks." Fear turned to dread as she met Tom's eyes. What were they about to face? She thought she was ready, but as those final words hung in the air, she felt anything but certain. Was she truly prepared for what lay ahead? Or was there a greater fight waiting in the shadows? Emma filled her lungs with a deep breath, ready to confront whatever darkness might come. The doctor's voice cut through the tension like a scalpel. "Jacob's condition requires us to act quickly. We can start him on a chemotherapy regimen immediately. It offers a chance, but it's going to be tough." Emma's breath hitched. "Tough? How tough?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper filled with cautious dread. She knew she would have to face whatever was coming, but part of her hoped for a clearer answer, a path that didn't twist through shadows. "The side effects can be severe. He'll experience fatigue, nausea, and the possibility of infection. His immune system will take a hit," the doctor explained, each word landing in her heart like heavy stones, sinking deeper into despair. Emma glanced at Jacob, so still and unaware. The machines beeped in sync, a constant reminder of the life threading through wires connected to him. Suddenly, she felt a sinking loneliness in that room filled with people. Would Jacob endure this? And if he did, would she? Tom leaned closer, his warm breath ghosting against her ear. "We'll be with him, right? We'll support him through this." She nodded, wiping her tears away with the back of her hand. "Yes, together." But the conviction in her voice was fragile, wavering like a candle's flame in the wind. "Emma, I understand this is overwhelming," the doctor said softly. "You don't have to decide everything now. You can take some time to consider the options." Time. The ticking clock in the corner felt mocking. How much time did they have? Each second felt heavier than the last. "Can we speak to a patient advocate?" Emma asked, suddenly finding her voice. She wanted more than just the medical jargon. She needed clarity, someone who could help navigate this storm. "Of course," the doctor replied, jotting down a name for her. "And remember, we're here for you every step of the way." As the doctor left, an uneasy silence filled the room. Tom shifted, breaking the tension. "Maybe we should think about getting some air. It might help clear your head?" Emma looked at him, seeing a flicker of concern behind his usually steady demeanor. "I can't leave him," she said, her heart aching at the thought. "I know," he replied, his hands squeezing hers. "But just for a moment. We can both step out and gather our thoughts. Jacob will still be here when we come back." After what felt like an eternity of hesitation, she finally relented. "Okay, just for a minute." They stepped outside into the sterile hallway, the cool air hitting them like a wave. Tom leaned against the wall, deep in thought. Emma paced, her mind racing through worries and worst-case scenarios. "What if he doesn't make it?" she said, the words spilling out before she could stop them. "What if this treatment doesn't work?" Tom turned to her, his expression earnest. "What if it does? What if this is the beginning of getting him back to where he was?" She stopped, the uncertainty hanging around them like a fog. I can't imagine seeing him like that, the pain. Neither can I, he admitted softly. But what about the possibility? Don't let fear steal that from you. Emma bit her lip, a struggle of emotions playing in her chest. But every option seems so risky. Risk is part of the journey, Emma. Nothing worth having comes easy. You know that, Tom replied, his words steadying her frazzled thoughts. As they stood there in that custom silence, she began to realize that hope and fear were just two sides of the same coin. She felt a flicker inside her that wanted to emerge, fighting against all the doubt. I want to believe, she whispered, more to herself than to him. But how do I keep holding on? Tom stepped closer, just enough for her to feel the warmth radiating from him. You hold on together, he said, and this time Emma believed him. But as the door to Jacob's room creaked open, revealing the doctor again, heart-pounding anxiety rushed back. Emma, he called, urgency in his voice. There's something important we need to discuss about Jacob's treatment plan. Emma's heart raced. What now? What was coming? She took a deep breath, bracing for whatever would come next. Emma stood at the threshold of Jacob's room, a storm of thoughts swirling in her mind. The doctor's urgent expression sent a shiver down her spine. She pressed her lips together, hoping to steel herself against whatever news awaited her as he entered the room. She felt Tom's steady presence beside her, his warmth anchoring her to the moment. Jacob's health is complicated, the doctor began. But I believe there's potential for remarkable progress if we act quickly. Quickly, Emma whispered, feeling the weight of those words. Time was a relentless beast, and her heart raced in response. What do we need to do? We can start the chemotherapy regimen immediately. It has shown promise, and while it will be hard, I think it's the best chance we have. The doctor's voice was calm, yet the gravity of the moment sank in like a stone. Emma glanced at Jacob. He was so fragile, lying there, and the thought of him undergoing treatment filled her with fear. But if it meant a chance at recovery, we'll do it, she said, her voice steady. We'll fight for him. In that moment, clarity struck. She remembered why she had embarked on this journey. It wasn't for the shop or her dreams of success. It was for her community and to support them in their hardest times. Jacob was not just a bright spot for Emma. He was a light for everyone who stepped into her future cafe. This needs to be a community effort, she realized, warmth flooding her with resolve. If they all rallied together, they could lift Jacob's spirits through what lay ahead. As she shared her thoughts with Tom and the doctor, she felt a wave of determination wash over the room. They brainstormed ideas for a community fundraiser, a way to gather love and support for Jacob, and embrace the very heart of what they planned for her future shop. Hours later, their collaboration took shape. The idea of a coffee for Jacob event sparked excitement within Emma, and families in the neighborhood rallied to join the cause. Soon, posters adorned the walls of local businesses, urging everyone to gather. Laughter began to bloom where worry had once flourished. Days turned into a flurry of activity as neighbors rallied together, bringing baked goods, handcrafted items, and heartwarming stories to share at the fundraiser. The evening was filled with love, connection, and the warmth of community. Family members found solace in one another's presence, reminding everyone of their shared journey. Once the event started, Emma took a moment to step back. She watched as Tyler and Lucy mingled with friends, vibrant and joyful, even amidst the uncertainty of waiting for Jacob's recovery. A radiant smile danced across her face, knowing that through struggle, the heart of the community had beaten stronger than she could have ever imagined. As she returned to the hospital that evening, Emma felt a renewed sense of hope. Jacob's room was filled with flowers, notes, and cards plastered with encouragement from every corner of Greenville. You're not alone in this fight, she whispered to him, her heart full of love. Finally, at the end of the week, the doctor entered with a smile that lit up the room. Jacob has shown significant improvement, he announced. The treatment is working. We have every reason to hope for a full recovery. Tears of joy streamed down Emma's face, spilling over the joy that had long since settled into her heart. Their dreams, once seemingly unattainable, now felt like solid ground beneath her feet. Together they would navigate the beautiful chaos of life ahead, opening that coffee shop as a space where hope bloomed amidst struggles. In the process of letting go of fear, she had uncovered something monumental: what it meant to fully embrace community, connection, and the power of resilience. And as they all gathered at Jacob's side, Laughter echoed along with the sound of hope, reminding them all that love had the strength to alter the darkest of days. And that moment, she knew one thing for certain. They wouldn't just create a coffee shop. They would build a sanctuary of stories, belonging, and healing to so make sure to join the journey of transformation. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It really helps us reach more hearts. Comment below how you feel after this heartwarming conclusion. We want to hear your reactions. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Your support means everything.